Alright, hey everybody. It's 8:22 on a Friday night on, I believe it's not September, but April 28th. I think it's April 28th. Oh my gosh, I don't know what day it is, guys. Yeah, it's Friday, April 28th of 2023. I'm going to do a pre-recorded video, okay? Because I don't have internet right now. And once I do get internet, I'll upload it to my YouTube channel and my Facebook. Um, so this, I got 4 pack of these. One is for my finances. This is for my YouTube. My notes and stuff I'm going to talk about each of my videos that I'm planning. Every single day I'm going to do another thing. Um, of a pre-recording video till I get Wi-Fi. If I get Wi-Fi on the 1st, which is Monday, then I won't have to deal with this. But this is going to be my YouTube journal. I'm going to make this video, and it's about SSI recipients and the troubles that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. While everybody else says that we have it easy, we're lucky, we get free money, we get to sit on our butts to do nothing, but that's not the case, guys. That's not the case at all. So this is stuff that SSI recipients go through on a day-to-day basis, the risk, and so much more. We're going to talk about SSI recipients and relationships. We're going to talk about the yearly income that we get. We're going to talk about all the stigma that happens around SSI recipients and so much more. We're going to talk about the stigma that happens around homelessness, which is all connected to SSI recipients. So most of the time, SSI recipients are the ones who get mistreated, abused, are usually the ones who end up homeless first or drug addicts. Um, so here we're going to go and talk about this. After I show you guys this is stickers and stuff I added, to my YouTube. It says my YouTube channel, videos, and notes for my productions. So we're going to hop into this. The reality of SSI recipients is we are 300% below the federal poverty level. Sorry about me coughing a lot. I'm so sick. But the reality of being 300% below the federal poverty line with SSI recipients and the inflation of the year of 2023. So that's going to basically be the main headline. So for 2023 year, the whole year, the SSI recipients only get like $10,968 around that for the whole year, which is not enough to survive on. I also talked to my therapist about this, and she said SSI recipients are indeed, in fact, 300% below poverty level, and we do not get enough to pay for everything that we need. It used to be you get more than enough to get everything that you need, but with inflation and everything else, it makes it to a point where we cannot afford what we need. Cannot afford groceries half the time. We can barely afford to keep our lights on because of inflation. So if you multiply $914 a month by the whole year, which is 12 months, so it'll be 914 divided by 12, you'll come up to around $10,968 the whole year for SSI recipients. There is so much hate, discrimination, and bias people that attack those on SSI. Is so much stigma that goes along with being a SSI recipient and heinous crimes or HATE crimes that happens to those on SSI. The homeless people, we will be also speaking about the homelessness later on in this video. So this is a very lengthy video. I'm literally reading from my notes. I know this stuff from experience and witnessing it, and therapists witnessing it with their clients. So this is a general idea how long this video is going to be. And again, everyone says we have it easy, but we do not have it easy. We are the population. SSI recipients are the population who has it the hardest. So the stigma phrases that are used against SSI recipients and the real truth about the types of stigma around SSI recipients. I'm going to also repeat that so you guys understand it. Stigma phrases that are used against SSI recipients and the real truth about the types of stigma that goes around with SSI recipients about us. Stigma 1. Those who are on SSI are unfit and neglectful parents. But that's not the truth. The real truth is we are not awful or neglectful parents. As CPS, meaning Child Services, in the courts, and the wrongful bias of the communities who sit in the courts as jury members, who discriminates against families, make up lies, commit perjury, and evil crimes against SSI recipients because of a few past families they dealt with, and they say all SSI recipients are neglectful because some of the families they dealt with in the past, which is not true and which is very biased, which is discriminatory. Because of the biasness and discrimination, there's innocent families being torn apart and destroyed by the CPS corruption, court corruption, law enforcement corruption, and the list goes on. That's just to name a few. Poor does not mean neglect. Okay, so let's get that. Let me repeat that. Poor does not mean neglect. Stigma number 2. Okay. Everyone on welfare are bums. I hear this all the time. Okay, I hear this all the time. Every single day, I hear it somewhere, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or any form of social media out in the communities. They call everyone on welfare all bums. That's what they accuse of us as bums. And lazy, he won't work. So they are automatically lazy because they refuse to work. But that's not the case. I mean, sometimes that could be the case with certain people, but most of the time that is not true. Alright? Bums, this is another form of stigma, which is discrimination, biased information. Just because you physically do not see a disability does not mean they are welfare bums. Okay, let's get that straight. I'm going to repeat that. Just because you do not see a physical disability, it does not mean they are welfare bums. Okay? There are so many invisible disabilities. So many of them. A lot of them are invisible. You don't see them, okay? Again, heinous crimes are being committed against those on SSI and welfare. Let that sink in. Heinous crimes are being committed against those on SSI and welfare. The truth for this stigma is there are mental illnesses and even physical health and disabilities that are not visualized. Like, you can, meaning you cannot see them, okay? Such as PTSD and CPTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which is usually one or two events, while CPTSD is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is reoccurring traumatic events. That child services usually are the ones that cause the CPTSD. 9 times out of 10, it's Child Protective Services, more like Child Criminal Services, that causes CPTSD in families, in our children, and in the parents, okay? For example, if you were a foster youth like I was, or were in the state like I was, you get SSI, alright? And although people think, oh, foster care is so much fun to be in, no, it's not. It's foster ward. There's neglect that goes on, human trafficking, drug trafficking, physical abuse, sexual assault, rape, and so much more. Okay, that is some of the stuff that happens in Child Protective Services care. And I am a witness. I am a survivor, and I've been through it, and I have witnessed it firsthand with so many innocent children who are now parents whose lives are being destroyed by CPS corruption. Okay? Um, most of those on SSI was mentally destroyed permanently in the foster care system that abuses people's kids and neglect people's kids. Then they usually pin it on the biological parents to cover their butts. This is what I'm talking about, okay? Um, just like Athens County Children's Services did to me and so many more innocent families. They already decide who's going to lose their kids way before they ever had kids. Children's Services do all this all the time, along with rest of children's services agencies all over the United States of America. Another invisible health or disability that a person could be having is back and spinal problems, where they cannot lift 50 pounds or even 45 pounds, or they could have spinal bifida. I can't say that one, but you know what I mean. Um, there could be also severe depression, anxiety that prevents them to work. Okay, which I have both of those as well. No employer is going to hire somebody with any form of disability, whether it's visible or not. And usually they will not hire anybody who has anxiety or panic attacks, okay, or depression. Most people on SSI are not bums, okay? I'm going to read that again. Most people on SSI are not bums, as society makes it look out to be, okay? They was dealt just with a rough hand from the start, from the day they were born. That doesn't mean they're bums, okay? Fetal alcohol syndrome is an invisible disability as well, which will help with certain people to get SSI. You cannot fool the system because they send you to thousands of doctors, not literally thousands of doctors, but you get what I mean. And I was also born with fetal alcohol syndrome. Pretty bad. I was fighting for my life from the day I was born. And if you are on an IEP, that makes you be able to be qualified for SSI. Okay? That makes it nearly impossible to find work due to discrimination crimes against persons with disabilities. Alright? IEP is also um another what's the word? Invisible illness, okay? There is also stigma around homelessness. A lot of that, which is also linked up to SSI, mental illnesses, and so much more. There is much stigma around the homeless communities. Let's talk about these stigmas, okay? So there is a stigma. Homeless people are homeless because of drugs, alcohol, or they made poor decisions. Yes, that might be some of the cases of homelessness, but it's not all of them, okay? Let's get that straight. Most of the most of the homeless population made may have lost their jobs, okay? Also, they might be mentally ill. It's one of the biggest homelessness ranks. And the foster youth that runs away from being abused in every shape and form by Child Protective Services in their homes also may be runaways who end up homeless, okay? Because they're trying to get away from a toxic environment and try to feel safe where they came. I was also a foster youth that ran away all the time because of the abuse I went through with Athens County Children's Services and so many other agencies. I was a runaway, okay? I didn't run away because I didn't get my way. I ran away because I was being abused, raped, and sexually assaulted every freaking day of my life, neglected by both CPS workers, supervisors, and the families. And this is just one way the foster care system fails the youth. Once they fail the youth in their system, they'll automatically fail as adults because that's how the system works. Um, I was failed by the system, and then they use that against me to take my kids when it's their fault that they failed me. And the biggest of homelessness is SSI recipients. Let me reword that. The biggest of the homelessness is SSI recipients. They do not get enough money to live off of. And even if we try to make our financial state better, we'll lose a lot of money from SSI, okay? We'll lose a lot of money from SSI if we, by miracle, get a job. And usually the bosses will drop your hours, drop your pay to make you quit. To literally make you quit your job because you are a SSI recipient. That is bias and discrimination and heinous crimes, just to start with. Um, Oftentimes, they have to choose between food and meds or medical supplies or eyeglasses because Medicaid CareSource does not cover eyeglasses every year. But even then, you still have to pay out of pocket because they will only pay $15 for the frames and the lenses, up to $15, and that goes over the $15 mark. So you're still paying out of pocket every 2 years and every year for glasses as an SSI recipient who's on CareSource and Medicaid. So tell me if that's not messed up, alright? More ways the system is failing people. Um, and we usually have to choose between food and bills, medicines, and so on, okay? All right. No matter how tight SSI recipients make their budget, they still cannot afford everything they need. It very basically just covers rent and utilities. If you need clothes, too bad, you're not getting clothes. If you need groceries, you're not getting groceries till your food stamps load, okay? This is what's the issue with the hungriness in the United States of America. It's usually the poor on SSI recipients who has lost additional income from a job or from losing their kids who had income from their kids. They will lose all of that. They lose their kids, except their own checks. You lose your kids because of discrimination. You lose WIC. You lose extra money for food for your kids. You will lose their checks. You will lose child support if you lose your kids. So you will lose literally a lot of income if you lose your kids. Just because of biased workers and community jury members and judges. Corruption. You get the point. So like I said, no matter how much we tighten our budget, we still cannot make ends meet, which is one check. And I already went over that CareSource and Medicare will not cover glasses every year. They only will cover $15 for your lenses and frames every 2 years, but then you still pay out of pocket, which is very unfair. Or even certain medications, like they won't cover certain medications. You all stuck paying for your medication by losing your lights, by getting your lights shut off, or getting a late rent notice because you have to pay for medication. This is how the system works for SSI recipients. But yet, people want to say we have it easy. They have no idea all the stigma, all the discrimination, all the bias that we go through on a day-to-day basis, okay? And our health, we can't improve our health if we can't afford a gym pass. So that's another reason that people on SSI recipients, their health keeps failing and failing because we can't afford a gym pass. So no, homeless populations are not always from druggies or bad choices. Here's another thing, when people talk about license, cars, saving money, for SSI recipients, we cannot save money for a car. People have no idea how little we really truly get. Alright? So licensed cars, saving money for SSI recipients. People tell those on SSI, save money, get a car, get a license, move, but we cannot for two reasons. Reason one, we're not allowed to have no more than $2,000 in cash assets, aka also bank assets. No more than $2,000, guys. This is discrimination and hate crimes who don't protect the disability when it's supposed to be. Reason two, we never have money to save because it goes to rent and bills. And even on SSI, we or those on SSI can barely or even pay all the rent, bills, meds, glasses, cab fare because we do not get enough income to survive. Most of the time, that is why those on SSI often become homeless. To work on their health and to eat and survive, to make better choices for their health, it usually ends up with them being homeless. Once they're homeless, the likelihood of them getting another place is very unlikely, okay? Because apartments want you have 2 to 3 times more of the income than you get, okay? Or they won't rent to you. They will automatically decline you, point blank. Then there's stigma around SSI recipients and licensing cars as follows. These are the things that people say to SSI recipients all behind their backs. Oh, I will never date someone who doesn't have a license or a car. That's that's literally discrimination and hate crimes, okay? And they say the reason they won't date them is because they're not worth it, or that because they're too poor or lazy and they don't want to help themselves. That is a lot of things that people usually say to or behind SSI recipients' backs. When that is not the truth, okay? And then I'm going to repeat this again. People say we have it easy, but in reality, we do not have it easy. We are the generations on SSI, we have it the hardest. Now we're going to discuss about SSI and SSI recipients in relationships. Okay, this is where we're at, guys. And again, all of this is true, okay? Because I witnessed it. I've been through it repeatedly. I've witnessed so many foster siblings going through it. I have also witnessed so many other SSI recipients going through the exact same abuse and going through the heinous crimes that we never did because what? Bias and discrimination, okay? When it comes to SSI recipients and relationships, it is nearly impossible to keep in a relationship with someone who's on SSI recipients because the partner who's not on SSI that are not on SSI discriminates against a partner with SSI checks. Because the partner was not on SSI says the partner on SSI is also my money, and they use a partner who's on SSI for sex and money when they have a lot more income than those on SSI does. Evil, sickening, disturbing, heinous crimes. And a lot of times those on SSI gets abuse, rape, and so much more. Why SSI recipients cannot have a long-term relationship? Another reason is because they cannot afford a car or a license. Plus, no one understands or want to understand, and the heinous crimes happen to SSI recipients from their partners. Usually, there is a lot of abuse, physical, mental, emotional, narcissistic, gaslighting, stealing, neglect that happens to the SSI recipients from their partners. Which leads us to why people with mental illness and disabilities always get abused by child protective services, the courts, the jury, the law enforcement, because they're on welfare and nobody listens to those who suffer from mental illnesses and disabilities. They automatically call us crazy, neglectful, unstable, and mental and say we have no rights because of our illnesses. This is what the cops, CPS, courts, the jury, so much more says, okay? And that is another reason why we always get attacked constantly. Others who are normal says the ones on SSI, mental illness and disabilities are drama. But we are victims of this type of abuse. We're not drama. It's not our fault that we have these illnesses. Those who not go through what those with illnesses and disabilities are going through call us liars, and they do not want to hear the drama when it's not drama. So this is exactly the abuse that I'm talking about that SSI recipients constantly go through. And it's ridiculous. It's not fair. It's corrupt. It's evil, and it's heinous. Okay? So remember, next time you try to say SSI recipients have it made, remember this video because we do not have it made and we never will have it made. We get hurt. We get abused. We get called a liar. We get to the point where we lose our kids for no freaking reason at all except bias, people, and discrimination issues, okay? And retaliation because they don't want disability people who's losing their kids because of their disabilities. They don't want to get leaked to the internet, to the community, because then it will make CPS look bad. When they all bad. Like, CPS is the most awfulest agency that has ever been invented on Earth. So always remember, before you say something like that to an SSI recipient or behind an SSI recipient's back, remember this video. Just like, if you have kids on SSI, will you want your kids to go through what we are going through? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't be doing this to us then. And if you ain't just like, well, that will never happen. We'll make our kids get off their butts and do stuff, not be lazy. Again, remember what I told you. Most of us are not lazy. Most of us is not bums. Most of us have some serious illnesses, whether it's mental, physical, or invisible or visible. That is why we're on SSI, okay? So don't ever judge somebody because of their status. It's wrong and it's not right. And people wonder why I'm single. Well, that's because of those reasons and because I'm done putting up with people like that, okay? So remember this video. Next time you try to judge somebody, remember this video. Think to yourself, if it was my grandma, or if it was my grandpa, or was it one of my kids who has some issues, would I want them to be treated the way I'm treating the others? If the answer is no, they don't be treating others that way. That's just how it's gonna be. That's how it has to be. And if you still trying to think it's okay to treat other people like that because you don't know their circumstances, but yet you won't want somebody to make fun of your kids or abuse your kids because they're on SSI or have disabilities, then you're part of the problem. That's end of that. That's end of that. So think before you react. Think before you say. If you have questions, ask them. Don't judge them. Don't discriminate against them. Don't be biased. That is how you're supposed to treat people with respect and not judging. No one on this planet, not even judges, have the right to judge an individual. That is God's job. So anyway, I'm going to end this video. I hope this brings awareness, and I hope you guys share this video because it needs to be shared. All right. There's too much stigma around all this stuff. Way too much stigma. So I'm going to end this video. Take care and God bless. Thank you for watching my video. Bye. Like, share, and subscribe.